this channel, we've explored many of the old world remnants across the land. We've looked at many cities and structures that provide clues of old civilizations that may not be so well documented as we like to say. But in this particular series, we're going to examine our newest cities, the cities of our current era. Cities that have been planned and laid out and have many odd enigmas and mysteries to them. Strange symbolism and odd references that don't oftentimes make sense. What can we learn about the past and the future by looking at these strange cities of the current era? Our first exploration, we're going to look at Milton Keynes in the United Kingdom, a planned community northwest of London designed to deal with the overflow from London in terms of population. We'll be joined by special guest Donny P from NMM Podcastio. I came across Donny about a year ago when he invited me to appear on his podcast, and you can certainly look up the podcast on your own, and I advise you to do so, as he does many wonderful podcast explorations with many different alternative researchers, and looks at a variety of topics. He does wondrous research, and he puts a lot of thought into everything he does, and I can certainly recommend his podcast channel, especially if you're looking for other perspectives. And perhaps the most important thing is he has a wonderful open mind and considers all perspectives. And I'd like to greet Donny and welcome him to the Restitutor Orbis channel. Well, I'm glad you could join us. And what are your thoughts on Milton Keynes, this little planned community that's northwest of London, and yet it seems to have a little bit more of a history to it than first glance would glean, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this place, man. So the official story, if that's what you're into, is that it was overspill from London in the 60s. And essentially there's a few towns that were built, like Stevenage, Welwyn, Garden City, and then you got Milton Keynes. And Milton Keynes, like, there's some esoteric stuff in the other ones, not much that I could find. Milton Keynes is overtly, I don't know if we can say the words because of Uncle Algo Rhythm, but the secret side that everyone knows about, the main one, it's overtly that in symbolism. I mean, like, it's hard, like when you look at Washington DC and things like that, it's so overt. It's like that, it's really overt. And I went there once. I'd never been there, and I went there for work to drop some guy off. And I dropped him off, and as soon as I drove through, I know this sounds cliche, but you know when you get that feeling like, oh, like, I don't like this place. There's something about this place I don't like. But I've got that feeling. And it's super, 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 super. It's like, it's just weird, like the way that it's designed. And we're going to get into that in a bit. But yeah, so really, I think when you look at Milton Keynes in terms of like the actual people that built it, there's some really weird links, like really strange, to cities in the Middle East, like holy cities, which is strange, like what Milton Keynes, but it's true. And we're going to get into some of that in a little bit. But what sort of things, because you've been looking at the pictures, what would you say is the most strangest thing you've seen so far?
I think the strangest thing that I see is a bit of the amalgamation. Well, first and foremost, you look at some of these images and it's picturesque. I mean, this image we're looking at right here, beautiful landscape. And yeah, they tie the links to the usual suspects, our favorite group, and some of the other groups and some of the big financial players that we know of. That's official. There's no conspiracy behind it. They're intimately involved in it, and the Middle East, like you said. But like this image right here, I'm trying to remember the exact name of it because I have not been to Milton Keynes. The closest I got was, I think St. Albans was the closest I got on the ground last time I was in the United Kingdom. But I mean, look at this image here, and they have this little obelisk, this modern looking obelisk, and I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the Ronnie's TARDIS from classic Doctor Who that someone just parked up there on the hill. But it's it's really strange. And yeah, there's several little artifacts that they just popped up in the town, and like you said, they built the town, planned community in the 1960s, primarily 1970s, and here it is to this day. I mean, and it's the quintessential bizarre community we have from our modern era.
Well, straight off the bat, that's the light pyramid, and there is no holds barred. Honestly, this little thing that you're looking at now, this is Now, do you know what? Well, obviously, you know what a Sephirite is. It's the
Yeah.
we don't need to talk about who made it or nothing, because I don't want to get you demonetized. But the way that honestly, the way that Milton Keynes is built, a certain part of it, it's the roundabouts, because it's known as one of the most roundabouty places in the whole of Britain. The only place that's more roundabout is the place that I live in, which is like I got a weird link to roundabouts. But that light pyramid sits right at the bottom on the handle of, if you imagine a Sephirah, the handle of the Sephirah at the bottom. And
Right.
that is exactly where it is. And it's hard to say what it's doing there. Is it some sort of energy harvesting? Is it just a ancient pagan, I don't like that word, but pagan ritual that they did? Because the whole city is aligned to the midsummer.
Right.
They're on the main street. There's a circular part of the building where the light shines through, comes all the way down through the Sephirah, hits the light pyramid. And that's the story about the light pyramid. Very strange.
That really makes you wonder, especially with the alignments too. And I mean, even on some of these images where they're just showing it on the distant horizon here, you can see that alignment. Even without looking at the rest of the city, you can tell that they do have it aligned with the horizon very well. And it does give you those vibes of what we would think of, from the mainstream in terms of pagan rituals. Of course, that's what we're informed, but is that what's really going on? Well, anybody's guess.
Yeah,
but I think that's really what you're onto, though, is, there's several clues that there's something going on. And I guess the other question we have to ask is, is this supposed to be an overt display? Is this something we're supposed to see and analyze? Because, they're not trying to hide any of this, obviously.
No, they're telling you. For an example, right, this is how overtly. Now, this bit's strange, and I don't know what to make of it. And I'll be interested to see what you make of it. Milton Keynes Central on Google Maps, nowhere else, just on Google Maps, not on Apple Maps, nothing like that, but just on Google Maps. It's the only place on planet Earth, flat Earth, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It's the only place that comes up in all capital letters, right? The only place here in this realm. I've tried every major city. I've tried the Vatican, I've tried Switzerland, I've tried Davos, I've tried all of them, everything. Like London, New York, none of it comes up. Only Milton Keynes Central. I thought that was really strange.
That is really strange, because usually they're very particular on that and making sure that there is no location that's in all capitals. And I know what you mean. I think what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll insert a little video in here that actually shows that for everybody to see as we're talking about it. So, it's an anomaly.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's really, really strange. In like with another part of like overt symbolism with Milton Keynes, and I don't think this is necessarily bad, because there's always this, like, when we're talking about this stuff, it's like, oh, like the bad people are doing this, and it's like, it's not always like that. Like, sometimes there are some good stuff that's built, and one of the good things that were built is the medicine wheel, right? In Milton Keynes, a massive medicine wheel, and if you're into gematria, and all the stuff, then the medicine wheel is made up of 108 stones. All the gematria people will be like, "Wow, do you know what that means?" No one knows what it means. But it is lunar symbolism. It's lunar symbolism, and the wheel, obviously, it hails from Native American culture and stuff like that. And they actually had, and I'm going to try and find the name of it, and I do not want to butcher this name, but the wheel was designed by a guy called Roy Littleson, and he was the adopted son of a Native American elder. Now, forgive me. His name was Titus Kwomeyumpatawa. I think I nailed that. Native American chiefs from the Onondaga tribe traveled to Milton Keynes to see Roy Littleson to consecrate this wheel. They'd done their little pipes, they smoked their herbs, and they consecrated the wheel. Now, it's a Native American tribe traveling all the way to a sweaty, horrible town. Let's be honest, in Swindon. Jesus, that's where I'm from. That was a Freudian slip. But but them coming all the way here to consecrate a medicine wheel, I mean, that seems pretty significant to me. That's but there is also, so this is why I say I don't think it's all bad, because at this medicine wheel you have people like the Buddhist monks. So they come, they light their sacrificial fire to do their thing, and I mean that's quite nice. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all like doom and gloom, but
Right.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, I just found that there's a lot of effort. That's a lot of effort. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't wonder if it's some method that they're going to the extreme on and making sure that they maintain some balance with the location, because it's clear that the location itself is significant if we go off the hilltop and the alignments and everything else. I mean, I don't think the selection of sites of even the modern planned cities, as we think of them as, is insignificant from the understanding of how things factor together on the land. Now, viewers of my channel realize I've tried to look into that, and I've had some, how shall we say, struggles with technical difficulties with certain videos. And I'm not sure why it's just those videos, but in any event, I think there is a lot more significance with the location than we realize, and they're willing to go to extra lengths to make sure that they achieve the balance, such as actually consecrating the medicine wheel, doing it exactly correct in terms of the old traditions. Who would have the old traditions? Well, who maintained the myth? People we think of as the Native Americans, the Aborigines, or all the other different names that different nations have for them. But they would be the ones who have the links to those old rituals that really do seem to have meaning.
Do you know what, as well, is this is something you said reminded me, and that does make a lot of sense. It's trying to keep that balance. And one of the things about this medicine, sorry to keep bringing it back, this medicine wheel.
No worries.
It's so interesting though. It's got 4 large gateways, right, which represent the 4 compass points, the 4 seasons, the 4 main human races, whatever that means. Please don't be offended. And the 4 elements, right? And I was thinking, what about the 4 possible hypothetical cataclysms that came before? I thought that might be tied in or something like that. But it's just the 2 lesser gateways on the outer circle are aligned to the Milton Keynes midsummer line, so the summer solstice line. And that is, I mean, that's just more sort of like, it's said that, so like obviously we know where attention goes, energy flows. We know that everything is energetically potent. And when these people, they basically, like, load of people come over, they pray into the middle of this medicine wheel, light a fire, and they believe, and now who knows, I mean, verify it for yourself or whatever, go to Milton Keynes, but the wheel somehow amplifies their prayers, and it amplifies it, makes them stronger, like energetic, like dense energetic points. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that also reinforces the notion that there is some sort of form of energy collection that we certainly don't fully understand that is occurring there every single day.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting when you think about pyramids, because I know we covered one pyramid in the Light Pyramid. There's like 21 other main pyramids in this place. There's a lot of pyramids. There's 22. Master builder. I'm not saying anything, but one of them, and this, honestly, when I read this, it made me laugh. So there's one of them called the Bletchley Leisure Centre. I keep saying Leisure Centre, right? And it was built in the 70s, and it got tore down in 2010. And
right,
it kind of makes me like, because there's so many pyramids, and this one is like the most. It's, when you see it, you're like, whoa! Like, they spent a lot of time on this pyramid. It's like a black pyramid. It looks like black glass tiles all the way up. Like, it looks crazy. And like, it does make me think that someone came round, like, from the lodge. Do you know what I mean? They said, like, oh, you got to get rid of some of these pyramids. Like, get rid of that one. That was too elaborate. Do you know what I mean? But it's
gave you that feeling. Yeah, it wasn't achieving its collection purposes properly, so better tear it down quick.
yeah, exactly. It's but yeah, it's the amount of pyramids here. But one of them in particular, and I think it's the most. Now, well, I'm going to explain to you what it is, and then you tell me what you think. It is a pyramid that is encasing a ziggurat, and that, well, the building, well, the business that building occupies is a cinema. Now, when you think about, the loosh aspect of the, like archons and all this stuff, like energy harvesting, like where's all this energy going? Because energy goes, where it flows, whatever. We know that, like, wells up. And is it being sucked into this pyramid and then shot off to someone, on a desert island somewhere, maybe underground, and they harvest this making energy? I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of indications that there is a strong possibility there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. And, so many of us have the intuition and feeling, and, energy never makes any sense. Like, for example, you're coming off a weekend, you have a high energy level, and then you go into the next day and all of a sudden, oh boy, I just feel completely drained. I don't know why. I got a great night's sleep, but just as soon as today started, I just don't feel like doing anything. You might attribute it to the weather or anything else, but then there's other times when there's no real physical cause for it. How else do you really explain it? Yeah, I think there is a lot of legitimacy, and I think there are certain locations that, for whatever reason, are perhaps more suitable to setting up some operation like this. And I think if someone's looking for a film example, look no further than the film Life Force, which is set in London, and they set up St. Paul's Cathedral as the massive collector of all the life force that the energy vampires are harvesting in London, and then shooting it up to their ship that's up in the sky, and it's collecting it like a giant umbrella. Maybe something similar to that, just a different setup. But there is a theme that you see that's recurring in fiction and even in historical examples, or what some people will call pseudo-historical examples.
Yeah. That's I've never seen that film. That sounds interesting. I might have to watch that. It's another thing, right? Now we're still on Milton Keynes. Here's another thing that I just found so interesting, is that in the theatre district, right now, bear in mind, they could have done anything. They could have gone with any statue to symbolize theatre. They went with, that guy that's wearing the mask and he's got the hat next to the other guy that's wearing a hat. Possibly a woman. In Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah.
They built a statue outside the theatre. There are so many points in theatrical history which you could have took and built a statue out of, but they chose this. It's really, really well. Obviously, we all know what Eyes Wide Shut was about, the film. And I mean, there are a lot of roads named after these people in this place. A lot of roads. But yeah, it's just super weird. And the owl symbolism too. Jeez, there are owls everywhere. Owls everywhere. Why do you need so many owls? People say, it keeps the rats away. Get real owls. Don't build statues of owls. Who's building statues of owls? Just buy real owls if you want to get rid of mice. That's what I'm saying.
And it's funny because we just encountered owl symbolism when we looked at the others exploration. We were talking about non-human creatures that may still be across the land or the planet, or however you want to think of it. And it's funny how owls get played into that. Well, you didn't see creatures, you saw owls. Oh, really? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Do you remember that movie? Owls? Do you remember the movie Fifth? Was it Fifth Kind or Fourth Kind? Fifth Kind.
Oh, the fourth kind from the 2010s. Yes, I do. With what was her name? Mila Jovovich.
Yeah. That movie. After I watched that movie, I never looked at an owl the same way. I was like, I'm on to, like, every time I seen one, I was like, I'm on to you. I know what you're about. That really creeped me out, man. But like, I do wonder about that. Like, I know this is slightly off topic, but yeah, just like owls. Like, we'll get back on topic real quick. Yeah, so
it's a good little tangent because owls do come up a lot, and they're considered to be one of the symbols of the previous civilization. We refer to it as Tartaria, but that's a placeholder name, at least on the channel. But there's also the fact, you go all the way back to what we have are attributes from ancient Greece, such as Athena's owl. Or, even if you saw the original Clash of the Titans, they talked about the mechanical owl Boo-Boo. which in the remake they foolishly left behind. Who knows why? But everybody knows what I think of the remake. Blech. But
yeah, that's typically what happens with remakes.
Exactly. I wanted to switch gears real quick and talk about one other portion of Milton Keynes that I think is very interesting, and that's you referred to it earlier, Bletchley, but the original Bletchley Park, the house that is there, or the mansion, the manor, the formal name for it, another 1800s structure, of course, because what else would it be? That was used during World War II as part of the decoding the Enigma operation, or the Ultra operation, as they called it. Alan Turing was there, and that's where they did the decoding and broke Enigma. And then, of course, they told us that because of being able to intercept German codes and translate them effectively, the war was shortened by 2 to 4 years. I guess it didn't have anything to do with the massive losses they were taking on the Eastern Front or anything like that. But you can see why it would make a difference.
Yeah, it's super weird when you think about the name, the code name of the project too is Ultra, and then obviously the initials MK, and then people are like, "Holy, I know what that means," and it's like, yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, there is overt symbolism. No, I think it's pretty overt.
And well, for one, it being the one bona fide old world structure that we do have in Milton Keynes, and I think there's a lot more that they just sort of hide there in plain sight. Who knows what was really there. When they do these fast construction projects, things get very confused and it becomes difficult to track what's actually happening. Just like the little renovation project they've done time and time again with Stonehenge. Very similar. What's really going on? What was actually there? Well, I don't know. You can't really talk to anybody who visited it back in 1910. They're not around anymore. So how do you actually verify what the original condition or the layout was? It's one of the things I question every exploration we do, whether it's Milton Keynes or any other city. Like, what was the original layout like? What was really there before they built it up and built it out?
Yeah, because you see this in sort of South American culture, stuff like that. It's like these sites that are, again, energy potent, they build their stuff on that site. Same as Native American culture too, and
right?
Who's because there is, whether you want to believe it or not, I know you probably do. There is a mystery religion that people, certain people, they worship. We're not allowed to talk about it, but who's to say that they're not savvy to these energy welling up sites, and that's why they build their stuff. If they build their stuff because it could have been the civilizations before. This is what I mean. It's we really, and this is why I like what you do, because you really analyze it, and it has to really be scrutinized, man. Because Bletchley, what I'm looking at now, I could say, for some reason, maybe they built it in the 1800s, maybe they didn't. Who's to know? But one thing I do know is that color on that roof, that weird mint green, that's everywhere. In the UK, not just the UK, it's everywhere. And I spoke to someone from a Telegram channel, someone that ran a Telegram channel, and I sent it to him. And I said, "What do you think?" And he said he believed that it was Tartaria was apparently tribes, not tribes, but sections, factions, and that could have been the factions' color. And that's what remained. Maybe they were on top for a while and they, took a lot of ground or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, that's what he said. I like the idea. Could have been possible, maybe.
I think so. I mean, this the live stream I just did, we're looking into more of a dark side of things because, we like to talk about how things were balanced and the ascendancy of that civilization, but we also have to remember they did fall. Things did really fall apart, and this last weekend we really looked at how bad things could actually get, especially with the concept of hive cities, which it seems they appeared during the latter portion of the previous era, and that was really how things started to fall apart when the civilization became a lot more segmented. Maybe that was a division that wasn't just horizontal, but it was vertical, and literally vertical in those cities. And that seems to be something that was induced upon them as they became more and more corrupted. They were looking to put divisions between their society, and no doubt that's what led to their fall and their collapse.
Yeah, super interesting, man. Because we know so very little, and just some, like, I know that we all know this. It's just like, none of it makes sense. Like, why is there windows in the floor? There should be windows in the floor.
Yeah, you see it all the time.
Yeah, and do you know, I've been working in Oxford University. And wow. I know it's Milton Keynes, but this, yeah, just when you see, like, when you're walking up close, I know like a lot of people have done it, but when you're driving past, it's not really the same. When you're walking past and you see these windows sat on the floor and you're right up against them, you're like, it's got the same, like, they don't put keystones and lintels, decorative lintels above windows that they put on the floor for light. They don't do that. Like, I've seen that, an example of that. I'm in construction, I see that stuff. Obviously not now, they don't do it anymore. But when you can see what is a decorative window and what is a real window, or just like one for light. You know what I mean? Like for contemporary.
Right.
Yeah, it's super weird, man. Super weird.
And it really stands out. And one other thing I wanted to cover, since we're looking at Bletchley here and that whole Ultra program. So one of the very first supercomputer that mainstream history says that we developed, called Colossus, yes, that's the actual name of it, was developed as part of this Ultra project. And I find that very ironic because in late 1960s, I think it was 1970, right on the dot, they released a science fiction movie called Colossus. And the plot of it was the Western powers developed a supercomputer, this is in the middle of the Cold War, called Colossus. And the Soviet old Warsaw Pact bloc developed their own called Guardian. And the computers demanded to be connected. They become artificial intelligence. And then, in effect, they take over the world. And it's very ironic that they called this original supercomputer Colossus. And then it comes up again. You know, maybe it was inspired or motivated in the novel and then in the film in 1970. And again, it all traces back to here, Bletchley Park, and Milton Keynes.
Yeah. All roads lead to Milton Keynes.
It's very, very strange. I mean, if you think about the origin of that, I mean, if there was some revival or some study of perhaps some form of what we would think of as artificial intelligence. I mean, we know we basically call any computer program artificial intelligence now. And but
yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
It's so fascinating, though, how it does all lead back there. And I mean, you would first glance, this place seems insignificant. It does really feel like, yeah, it's just some urban sprawl that they developed as a planned community, and it seemed to come out okay. But when you really read between the lines and you look in the foundations of it, you see something else entirely.
Absolutely. And one of the things I really wanted to bring up, because I touched on this briefly on my episode that I did. But so we sort of mentioned it earlier, and I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't know how much you can go in on this platform. But there was so if you ever read the Genesis 6 conspiracy by Gary Wayne, you'll know that Najaf, the country, the city, it's like the third holiest city in Islam. It was bombed to smithereens in I think it was like 2004, absolutely reduced to rubble. Okay. And then 2006, the planners came in, you know, and this is all going to link in, I promise you. Najaf, so it's got the biggest cemetery in the world, in the whole of the world. This place, it's so holy. It's where the Shia excuse me, let me get this right. The Shia Islamic sect came from Najaf, right? This is a significant place. Reduced to rubble in 2004. 2006, who comes in? But the same people that built Milton Keynes Development Corporation.
The exact same corporation.
The exact same one got sent out to build like the remodeling and regeneration of rebuilding of Najaf, the holy city in Iraq. Why Milton Keynes? It makes no sense.
The official explanation will be because the Coalition Provisional Authority was looking for someone to rebuild the city that had accidentally gotten destroyed during the war, and so of course they contacted people they knew who could rapidly build a city and had the financial resources. That's the official explanation.
There you go.
Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah, and do you know what? It sounds like that's actually what they would say, literally.
I may have heard it a time or two in the past. That is exactly what they said.
Yeah. There you go. You're well versed. Very wise. But this place, man, there's just, I mean, you could do hours and hours and hours and hours on this place. For example, there's a river, right? Even just the river. The river is called the River Ouzel. And ouzel is a bird, right? I didn't know that until I started researching this, but apparently it is. And it's a bird, and it's, for some reason, it symbolizes the crossing of a threshold into like another world. That is the crossing between dimensions. For some reason, that's what this bird symbolizes. And there's a river that cuts through Milton Keynes called the River Ouzel. Just more symbolism, you know. It's just all of it added up. Oh my god! And I don't know how I nearly forgot this, but I would never have forgot this because it's so nuts. And we can get into Silbury Hill on another one of these adventures that we go on, because that is super. There's a lot going on in Silbury Hill. But the address for Milton Keynes, the Milton Keynes Central, is, get your bingo cards ready, is 33, obviously, don't know what the A means, Silbury, obviously Silbury Hill, Boulevard. 33. Like, come on, man. Like, at least give us like something to work out for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts.
And just say the A is 1. It's really 34. It's not 33, right?
There you go. Yeah, that means something completely different.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm just stepping back there a little bit. You know, looking at it from a distance. No, I know exactly what you mean. And you said Usul, right? USUL. Was that the pronunciation of that? That's interesting to me, because that's the exact same name as Paul Muad'Dib. That's his troop name with the Fremen from the novel Dune. Usul, the second mouse shadow in the moon of Dune, Arrakis. What are the odds?
Yeah. Well, Milton Keynes.
There you go.
Whenever something weird happens anywhere on the planet or the realm, you can probably link it back to Milton Keynes. Like, everything comes back to this place. So weird. The amount of obelisks that are just dotted around is incredibly strange. Like, what? There's a council estate. So council estate. Anyone that's from the UK will be like, oh, council estate. But there's I don't know how rough of a council estate it is, but it's called Great Holm, and there's a huge obelisk there for some reason. And there's more that I've written down, but I cannot find for the life of me. But there's, like, obviously we know the Big E, the African culture that starts with an E. We all know them. They love their obelisks, and obviously we can't get into it because of Uncle algorithm. He's very strict. Yeah,
you see that's the thing you say, though. I mean, you see obelisks all over the land. They're not just confined to the traditional geographical portion of Africa. I mean, we've got different scales of obelisks, but I mean, you go to any old cemetery in the United States, down in South America, you'll see plenty of them there. Lots of obelisks. And you're asking, why the heck was everybody so into obelisks? And the answer you'll get is, well, because everybody admired that particular culture that was in Africa that starts with an E. So, hey, let's get our obelisks lined up for our cemetery when it's time, because it's the thing to have.
Yeah, and it's when you take into account where these obelisks are and the sort of like the yang of the yin, which is the obelisk, as being an opening of some kind, like a tunnel or something to that nature, then the obelisk and the tunnel reflect the love story / incest of that very well-known African country. But just the symbolism of the masculine, feminine, like, I think that's nice. I'm not sure why they parade it about so much. Like, what does it do? What does it do? Like, for example, I was driving home the other day, and I saw the most overt use of symbolism I've ever seen in my entire life. The van in front of me was called Janus, and it was literally the god Janus, god of thresholds. It was his face, and I just thought, that's so brilliant. Like, no one else knows. No one on this road knows. Well, some people might, like, who that is, what he symbolizes, why he's January, how he's, messed us about with our circadian rhythm, and all that stuff. I don't know why I brought that up, but I thought it was quite fascinating.
And all that is, and on Final Fantasy game players, which I have quite a few viewers on my channel who play the game, Janus is a character that comes up in a few of the games, ironically enough. A lot of symbolism in that one too.
Oh, that was a good game.
Oh yeah. Well, really, all of them were up until 21st century. But anyway, we don't need to go there.
yeah. That's a whole other show.
Yep. So, all right. Well, I think that's a great overview on Milton Keynes. And so concludes our look at Milton Keynes. And for our next exploration in the strange cities of the current era, we're going to be examining Rochester, Minnesota, the city that they built around an entire hospital. And really, the hospital that's become a city. There's many unique anomalies within this particular city, and it has quite an intriguing history. It involves a little bit of the old world and a lot of interesting symbolism, much as Milton Keynes did. I hope you can join us, and thank you for joining us for these Strange Cities explorations. Please like, comment, and subscribe.